Welcome to Difference Talks, the show that focuses on one word, differentiation, and how it is more important today than ever to discover what makes your brand unique and celebrate it with the most important people, your team.
In each episode, we meet people who've had the courage to stand up and stand out, sometimes against great odds. In a world of copies, conformity, and commodities, uniqueness speaks volumes. Difference Talks.
Welcome to Difference Talks. I am Barry LeBove. I am the author of The Power of Differentiation, as well as I am the founder and CEO of LeBove Marketing, Communications, and Training. Today, I have a tremendous guest. He is iconic. He's bigger than life in a lot of ways. He'll talk a little bit about that. He is a guy who has great success in one specific industry, and that's commercial trucking. And he's worked with Daimler, which is Freightliner, as well as he is today the president of Mack Trucks. Successful person, not shy, has a lot of passion. So I want to introduce Jonathan Randall, or JR as I call him. JR, welcome to Difference Talks.
Barry, it's great to be here. I'm not quite sure I'm going to live up to that introduction, but thanks for having me anyway.
All right. Now, we were talking before the show started, and interestingly, you wanted to be a broadcaster, and you worked at a country music radio station, and I think you played hockey too, didn't you? Weren't you a hockey guy? All right. So all of this. Now, give us your background, your origin story, because how the heck did you get into trucks? What the heck is going on here? So tell us your background.
Sure. Got into trucking actually through a friend and started in truck leasing and really enjoyed the truck leasing aspect of it and the selling from business to business. And what I found is that I was attracted to selling solutions to customers. Right, to help them achieve their business goals, help them achieve their business targets, help them be profitable, and ultimately help them serve their customers. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that aspect of selling. I enjoyed that B2B aspect of selling. And then, the career just kind of went from there. Went to Daimler, as you say, Freightliner trucks, and rose through the ranks there. And that's where you and I met, as when I was running marketing for Freightliner trucks. And then they shot me out to South Carolina to run sales and marketing for one of their chassis divisions, which was a nice little tidy $1 billion business that they had tucked away in South Carolina that would do some wonderful things. And that's where we started really working together. And then from there, left Freightliner, did some startup stuff in the electric vehicle business, worked with a couple startups and some private equity, and was enjoying my time doing that. And that's when Mack called. So they were looking for somebody to run their North American sales team. And having been in trucks as long as I've been, when Mack calls, you listen. They're an iconic brand. They're such a fabulous brand, and at that point, 2016, they'd been around for 116 years, and really investing and developing services in a space that proved to me that they knew where the market was headed. So joined them in 2016, and after roles in sales and some other things in commercial operations, was named the president of the company in December of 22 for the North American market, which makes up the majority of Mack sales. About 95% of all of Mack sales is U.S. and Canada, and been living that dream since. So here we are today.
How do you account for the fact that Mack is as strong as it is today when it is that old? There's always that potential that a product becomes dated. It loses its way. How do you account for the success? And in your role, because you're guiding them, how do you make sure you don't lose what that magic is in that brand?
We celebrate 125 years in business next year. In 1900 in Brooklyn, New York. The Mack survival story is really around the loyalty of our customer base. And we do business with generations of customers. And our dealer network does the same thing. These are generational network dealers that are in our business today. And they have such great roots in the local community. And that's who Mack is, right? We're tough, we're durable, we get our hands dirty and we work with those customers and we're invested in their business. So that's Mack's story. That's Mack's story since we were founded in 1900, since the bulldog became our,
Right.
became our emblem coming out of World War One, and that's what's driven Mack's ability to remain relevant after 125 years. The interesting dynamic of that is you'll always find, at least I've always find, that your greatest weakness is usually inherent within your greatest strength.
Mm.
And our greatest strength is our history, our how we're iconic, our customer base that has been with us through, say now maybe centuries, in
Yeah.
some cases.
Yeah.
But that also has the possibility of holding us back as well. And we certainly
Right.
don't want to be held back by our history. So you've got this interesting dynamic of maintaining and retaining that iconic truck piece of the business, but that's not going to get you where you want to go from a growth standpoint in an industry that's transitioning, that's innovating, and that Mack absolutely has to be part of that discussion.
What's your elevator speech when you're talking to dealers and others about the viability and relevance of this 100 plus year old brand?
25 years ago, when I first got into trucks or started, selling trucks, the truck was the thing, right?
Right.
It was startability, it was gradability, it was a long nose, it was a tall hood, it was, you look great at the truck stops, and people are gonna, be drawn to what you're driving, and they're gonna respect that. And that was the thing. It's not the thing anymore.
No.
The truck is part of an equation that brings success to our customer and ultimately our customers. And so the shifting dynamic for us is how we sell, how we go to the market is certainly technologically advanced from a standpoint of we're able to design and build trucks to do the jobs our customers need them to do. But at this point, that's almost price of entry.
Mm.
You've got to have that extra differentiator of being able to drive their success. What are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to succeed at? And what is success to them? Not success to us.
Right.
We have history in a specific environment where, I was concerned that we were so focused on what we were doing as navel gazers that we kind of lost track of what customers were actually wanting and what was important to them. Mack didn't lose visibility to that. We were just too focused on the technical aspects and the truck
Mm.
and less focused on what we needed to do to ensure our customer success. So now it plays an equal part. The iron, incredibly important. I still believe that our design is the best design out there. I still believe that there's no one that can spec a truck better for a customer to do the job it needs to do, whether it's a long haul truck that's going to run 125,000 miles down the road, or it's a triaxle concrete
Yeah.
pumper that's going to sit at a job site for 12 hours and pump concrete. No one could design it. No one could spec it better than our people can. But equally, from a standpoint of the sales process, equal importance is then how are we going to support that? And what are we going to bring to the table as far as technology, information, and actionable information that our customers can use to improve their operations?
And you're talking about providing solutions to your customer base that they cannot get elsewhere.
That's how you're going to differentiate, right? In today's market, even when you look at the customer base, the gap between the perception of the products and the brands, maybe it was, I'm trying to get on the camera here, but maybe it
Yeah.
was this wide 10
Right.
or 15 years ago. The perception of the customer when it comes to the products is closing.
Yep.
Right. So that's not where the differentiation is anymore for the majority of the people who are buying trucks. The differentiation is going to be the local dealer, the local support, and the services and solutions you can bring to them to help and ensure their success.
Can you share a key moment or point in your career where you had to tackle a challenge and it meant you had to rally your people to believe, to change the way they were perceiving so that you could end up achieving the success, not only for you and the brand, but for them as well? Can you think of one that comes to mind?
When I was working for the chassis division of Daimler, it was like I said, it was a neat little $1 billion business tucked away in South Carolina, and it was a successful business.
Yeah.
Profitable, had good market share, and performing well. And from a corporate structure standpoint, it was actually fairly well autonomous and left alone to go do its own thing. But what I found when I got in there is that the opportunity to improve, the opportunity for incremental market share, the opportunity for incremental customers, the opportunity for a better customer experience existed, but people were fairly happy with where we were.
Right.
And so we had to get everybody, number one, to believe that there was more to be had. And number two, not only believe that there was more to be had, but believe that that more to be had was rightfully ours.
Right.
And all we had to do was the right things to go take it. And then, as I was experiencing when I first actually got to Mack as well, was we were incredibly product focused. We were incredibly technically focused. And it really was important to us. And it meant a lot to us. Didn't mean as much to the customer base we were trying to serve.
Right.
And so we had to go through a learning curve with our customers. And it wasn't even our customers, because if you remember, we were selling chassis to manufacturers who were then going out and selling them in the open market.
Right.
And so we had to go to their customers and find out what was important to them. And what was important to them wasn't what's important to us.
Right.
Right. And I'm a sales guy, and I always joke. I say, I love what I love until the customer loves something different. Then I love that. Right. And so it's not that we needed to change the technical aspects of our chassis. I believe it was the best ride. It was the best handling. We had to change how we communicated with not our customer, but actually our customer's customer, and go direct to them as to why they should be looking for stuff with our product versus competitors. And what that opened up as we started talking about customer experience versus our features and benefits, which is pride of them, is that it opened up additional markets to us, not only with the end customers, but then with the manufacturers, because they had their customers coming in asking questions about what it is they can provide with our product versus a competitive product. And it did two things. It built the business for us on our existing customer base, but then it also got us into a segment where we weren't playing, which was the luxury segment of that business. And that opened a ton of doors. So, we went from within our segment, again, we were leading the segment. We were 35% market share. And over the course of 2 years, we were able to take that 35% and turn it into 70% market share of that one particular industry, just by changing the way we communicated.
To give a little background to this, Jonathan walked into that place. I remember this because my company was working with the team, and they said, well, there's this brash young guy coming in and he's got big plans. I'm going, okay, yeah, that's nice. Well, here's what was going on. And Jonathan, you said it, but this is fascinating. It was already doing well by most people's standards. And so everybody, it's in my book because Jonathan's featured in there. And he said one thing to me, I'll always remember it. I turned to him and I said, Freightliner chassis is doing really well. The product's good. You got 35% market share. You're in first place in a couple of your categories. What are you looking to do? And he looked at me with his Boston accent and he goes, Barry, I want to make history. I thought, oh my gosh. And that's what he wanted. Now, here's what that also meant. And I want you to kind of jump in on this. I'll tee it up. But Jonathan said, look, we have to realize that we have to provide an experience to our customers. Right now, we're serving ourselves. We're doing what's easiest for us. We're telling customers to go take a hike. We're not answering the phone quickly. We're not responding back. And we've got to stop it. We've got to realize who the boss is, and it's the customer. So I turn it back to you. Share a little bit about what you did as you achieved this with everybody, because it was foreign. Because keep in mind, Jonathan, you walked in, yeah, you were right, but you were trying to improve something that was doing pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think the first thing we had to do and that we did together was you couldn't go to the market until you earned the belief of the people who are going to do the work with you.
That's right.
Right. And so the first thing that we had to do is we had to ensure everybody understood what it was we wanted to accomplish and how we were going to get there and how they were going to contribute to our overall success. And really change the mantra of what was, I believe at the time, a very navel-gazing organization to a very outward-looking, customer-centric, customer-focused organization. And that doesn't happen overnight. That takes months. In some instances, it could take years.
Yeah.
But you're changing a culture that, by the way, already believes they're fairly successful. And by all definitions, they were.
Right.
Fairly successful. They just could have been so much more successful. So the first thing we did was employ a strategy to get everybody to believe, everybody to buy in ways in which they can take ownership. Because it wasn't just the sales team selling to the customers. It was the service and support team answering the phones, solving the problems, taking the extra steps, creating something, an experience with the customer that's memorable, that's differentiation from anything they've experienced, whether it's a competitor of ours or some other industry that points out. You never want your customers to have a bad experience, whether it's a breakdown on the road or whatever it is. These are mechanical things. Problems are going to happen. Every time a problem happens, you have a very unique experience to either set something positive in motion or negative. And every experience, every touch point, we made sure, or at least communicated, that should be an incredibly positive experience. Because the other thing that was incredibly important in this segment that we were talking about is word of mouth. It's a niche community. It's a very small community. They all talk, and they will gladly share their experiences.
Yes.
And as we talk to the people and we're giving them autonomy, we're giving them authority, the answer or how we would structure it is we say, look, the interaction you're having right now with this customer, regardless of what you're on the phone with them, you're sitting across the table from them, or you're at a convoy, or you're at a fairground with them, whatever it is you're doing. Am I enhancing the experience? It's all about enhancing it.
Right.
Am I enhancing the experience with the customer? If I don't think so, then I got to change it. If I don't believe I have the authority to change it, then go find somebody who you think can and get it changed. Right. And then we can address it from a structural standpoint so that it's embedded just in our culture and how we do business on a regular basis. And those improvements had to come from those people who are working daily with the customers. Right. I can stand in front of an audience at a podium and say, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and here's the strategy, and here's the map. But it's the people in the front lines who make it happen, who make it real to our company and make it real to our customers. And so once they knew, once we set in this in motion and we said, here's how we're going to communicate, here's how we're going to talk. And then once they knew that they were safe to challenge,
Right.
they were safe to make these decisions on behalf of the customer, then we were ready to go to the market. And we were ready to communicate to our customers and the end users about the experience that we bring them that differentiates us from everybody else. And then from there, that's what we did. We started working with our partners who were folks we were actually selling the chassis to, but then ultimately getting into their customers and working with them. And that's what led then to the growth.
And to kind of put a nice bow on this, a few things. Together, Jonathan and our team came up with a rally cry, which was driven by you, which was a real great message because it was giving his team the opportunity to know that they actually were significant and you are going to help drive our success. And the driven by you was also focused on the end user. We are driven by taking care of you. So number one, there was a rally cry. Jonathan also allowed people to make decisions. They actually could make decisions. And sometimes they weren't the right decisions, but you know what? And you said this, so I'll underscore it. Get this thing figured out now. And if you can't, find someone who can, and then we'll fix it. We'll fix it in the structure down the road, but get it fixed now. You added a level of urgency that was not there. And I'll put one final little note on there. He did go from 35% market share to 75%. And in the premium segment, they already had a great product, everybody. It was great. They just weren't delivering the premium experience. Now, all of a sudden, they did that. They were number one in the premium category as well. That's what this person did. So we'll be back with Jonathan Randall after we take a little break. You're with Difference Talks, and we are happy you're with us today.
You're listening to the Difference Talks podcast. Difference Talks is brought to you by LeBeau Marketing Communications and Training. LeBeau focuses on one word: differentiation.
In fact, we wrote the book on it, called The Power of Differentiation. Our goal is to inspire 1 million people with this message, helping brands win hearts, minds, and market share.
Discover more at LeBeau.com.
All right, we are back from break. This is Difference Talks. We are with Jonathan Randall, president of Mack Trucks. Jonathan, you shared a really great story about Daimler/Freightliner chassis and what you did, how you rallied people. Let's talk a little more personal here on the back half of our program today. Can you share an achievement in your career that you're most proud of? Think of one. You could add a couple if you want to it, but is there an achievement where you go, look, I'm really proud of this?
I will tell you that over the course, so when I look at my success long term, it's defined by the people I work with, right? And who together we, go out and fight the battles and win. It's overly dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So my proudest achievements throughout my career have always been the advancements of the people that I work with and who at some point reported to me. And it's the development of them, giving them whatever I can to add to their careers to then help them be successful, go on and do things. I've been fortunate to have unbelievably talented people working with me and working for me. It is truly the main reason why I'm able to succeed. So to me, what I'm most proud of is just the development of the people that I work with, and then them going on to do great things on behalf of the organization I represent today with Mack and what we're doing now in the market.
It's interesting because, we talk about what is most proud for you. What are you most excited about in your career? And it turns into really engaging people and giving them an opportunity to shine. And that's one thing. When I was writing my book, originally it was primarily on brand differentiation so you can increase your sales. But what really hit me was during COVID, when 50 million people quit their jobs in 1 year, I thought, now, wait a minute, hold on a minute. It's not just giving significance to that product so the customer buys, it's giving significance and meaning to the people who are producing that product or selling it or servicing it. And that's what you're doing. You're giving significance to the people who are working with you, whether they're in service, sales, whatever, they could be in product development, and you're giving them an opportunity to shine. And that's where your differentiation is. So, and you benefit from it, and so does your brand.
I love to talk about, so Allentown, Pennsylvania, we've been there since 1907. There today, every truck we built, the globe basically, other than Australia, New Zealand's built there. And a factory is a factory, right? And you've been to factories. A lot of us have been to factories, and certainly there's different ways people run factories and how they're structured. There is nothing like walking the factory floor at a Mack truck plant. And it's because exactly that, the ownership that the people that work that line take in what they're building, the pride they have of what they're doing. And there's nothing more exciting to them than to see a customer walk.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And nothing happier from a standpoint of we stop the line because the customer is going to talk to the folks building the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And fine, stop the line. Let's have the 5-minute conversation.
Right.
It's all just fantastic experience that our customers, is one of the reasons our customers are attracted to us, and the folks up there are just fantastic.
And see, that's customer experience, and that's culture. It's letting people know in the plant, hey, you know what? We have a customer here. The customer is the most important aspect of our world. And if he or she wants to stop and talk, we stop and talk. We don't say, get out of the way. We got iron. We're pushing out the door. One final question, JR. You're working hard. You have a day where you come home and you feel energized. We call it a best day. You're energized. You're going, I love this. This is what I love. What happened in that best day? What is that best day?
I suppose I can go back to the Jim Valvano iconic speech, which is you think, you laugh, and you cry in one day, and that's a full day. But you know what I say is, and you brought up over earlier, and the thing about that whole situation over those years is, like a lot of us, I get energy from connection with people, and I get much more energy from connection with our dealer partners and our customers. And for 2.5, 3 years, didn't have that, other than like you and I are talking right now, or
right, yeah,
or whether it was Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and it bothers me that we've gotten so good at Teams meetings, right? Because I don't want to be good at Teams meetings. I want face to face. So to me, a great day is getting with a customer, being with our dealer partners, being in the market, right? Understanding what's happening in their world, understanding the challenges they're trying to solve, and then figuring out, can we play a role in solving this? How do we? And then coming back to our teams and challenging them to say, I think there's something here. This is what we're trying to solve, right? Give me something that might work. Think about it, right? Challenge yourselves to think about it. Because I view in my career, I view my job is to set the strategy, set the targets, define the strategy of how we're going to get there, be able to explain what winning looks like, and then get out of the way of the really smart people for them to do the work to get us there.
Right.
And so to me, get with the customers, you get with our dealer partners, get with the people within the organization, define a job to be done, something that you can provide a unique differentiation, unique differential solution to that, challenge the team to come up with it, and then fire it off, figure out how to make it happen. That's a busy day, but it's a good day in my mind.
You're trying to get people engaged, getting them fired up to go create solutions you can't create on your own, and then having it affect the dealers, the customers. It's exciting. And I can tell that that's what your passion is. So you're still driven by you. What we talked about years ago, it's still that focus. You're still the guy, the young kid selling solutions. You're just not quite as young a kid as you used to be. But that's who you are. It's great. So it's a great inspiration because, again, it shows what a leader is all about. That's what leadership is. It's not getting up and pounding your fist and telling people what they need to do. So, Jonathan, I thank you for being on today. I always love when you take my phone calls, you respond to my emails. We've been really, really good friends over the years. Your success is fantastic. You're making history again with Mack. Well, you're doing it. You're going to do it. Nothing's going to stop you because it's not you alone. It's the dealers. It's your people. So I thank you for being on today. And like I said, I think it's an incredibly inspiring story as to what you are all about.
Thanks, Barry. It's been great visiting with you, and I look forward to the next time we catch up.
All right. I look forward to it. Everybody, that's the wrap on this show. As we say at the end of Difference Talks, our 2-word statement is leaders differentiate. And that's what Jonathan has been doing. So again, till next time, thank you for listening and watching Difference Talks.
Thank you for listening to Difference Talks, produced by the amazing team at LaBeouf. All original music on this podcast was created by LaBeouf.
Buy our book, The Power of Differentiation, on Amazon. Have a question for the Difference Talks team? Email us at differencetalks@labov.com.